Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
This episode is made possible by PwC. A robot may not be coming for your job, but competitors are coming for your market share. At PwC, we pair the right tech with the right solutions to help you gain a competitive edge. Reimagine operations from the cloud, fuel innovation with responsible AI, and detect risks before they become headlines. That's human-led and tech-powered. It's all part of the new equation. Learn more at thenewequation.com.
Steering wheel. Laps of steering wheel, yeah. Steering wheel. Hey. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on. Whoa.
You like my face? You like it?
How the f*** that's possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? On the radio. The radio the rings. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track down the Hanger Straight.
I am so annoyed.
Hello and welcome back inside Depart for May for podcast number 862. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
AKA Negative Camber. You know why I've asked you here.
You must convince the villagers that I'm harmless.
That's exactly what I need you to do. Tonight, for your kind consideration, we're going to cover Formula One news because that's just what we do on off weekends when there's no race. Before doing that, of course, I have to introduce my co-host, and you know what that means. I have to go all the way to the right coast, my right, in our nation's capital, where she plies her skills as a master statistician and an audio genius after tonight, it turns out. Who knew? You know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable Grace, how you doing?
I think I also have to give a shout out to, my team principal and IT support for all his help.
Yes, always good to have an IT guy.
You always gotta thank the people back at the factory.
Yeah, you do.
It's not just my work alone here.
Just got to keep pushing, man. Just got to keep pushing, everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You push through it. A lot of audio troubles. Last weekend, apologies, Paul, for whatever reason, Paul just decided that recording podcasts on a laptop with no power plugged in was a good idea. Who knew?
I love it. That guy, he just lives on the edge. It's just what we expect from a race car driver, right?
Exactly.
He is James Hunt. He's the James Hunt of podcasts, you know?
I mean,
seatbelts, I don't need those.
Everything in his life is at 10 tenths, It's,
right,
it's
exactly.
Amazing. He figured he could get through the podcast, and then laptop died right at the end. I had someone say, boy, that was an abrupt ending. I said, yeah. You telling me?
Yeah, that'll do it.
My wasn't I surprised.
Yeah, I bet.
Hello, Paul. This is United States calling. Are we reaching? Oh, boy.
Right.
You know what we're going to talk about tonight, Grace?
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
That's what we're going to talk about.
God, I love some classic swingers.
Sure you do.
Sure you
do.
The babies.
The babies.
We're going to go see the babies. Right.
Oh, Vegas. Where to start? Well, I've titled my notes here, Vegas Angst. And look, before I get accused of this, trust me on this, I'm not trying to come across as the old man get off my lawn here. I'm really not. I genuinely am excited about all the content and everything, and it's great. But, man, this has been a week about Vegas. Well, if some of you were out there listening,
it's only Monday.
I know.
How's it a week about Vegas already?
It's been going on for weeks now. I've been watching, the socials, and it's just turned into a dumpster fire on this race.
That's your first mistake, sir.
I know.
Stay off the socials.
I keep, and somebody says, well, you're following the wrong people. No, I mean, I'm following F1. I'm following Autosport. I'm following Motorsport, and it's just, I'm not following the wrong people. It's just, wow.
Are you watching cat videos? Then you're following the wrong people.
Right,
I mean,
right.
That's the only reason I'm on Instagram is for the funny cat videos, right?
You know what's funny is I post a TikTok video on YouTube, and I get thousands more views on Instagram on that TikTok video than I do TikTok.
Oh, the TikTok? That's great. I mean, that's the only way I'd watch you. I refuse to get TikTok. That's just going to be a black hole of my social life.
Well, it's a good shot from you because that's its own dumpster fire. But so if any of you listen, you'll remember I mentioned I was the guest, which is really weird for me to be the guest and not a host. I was a guest on a podcast called Jeff Does Vegas. Now, Jeff is a dashingly handsome young man who has a podcast all about Vegas. He loves Vegas, and if you just go to Google, if you didn't listen to it, I tweeted it and put lots of links to it. But if you didn't and you want to hear it, not that you'd want to, but if you do, you just Google Jeff Does Vegas and you'll see the podcast. And I was on there, and we talked about Vegas and the upcoming Grand Prix. And Jeff's a really good guy, and he's been covering all things Vegas for some time now. And I plan on having him on our show, Grace. After
I have so many.
Oh, kitty action.
I'm okay. She's
you
fine.
Look hurt.
No, she just got caught on the cord. It's all right.
991. What's your emergency? So I plan on having him on our show after the dust settles from the race to get his thoughts on the impact and the fallout. Right. So this will be fun. But as I was,
can I have a segment with Jeff where we just talk about food?
Yeah, we could do that.
Like instead of maybe Albon's cats, we'll just have this is where Grace and Jeff talk about food in Vegas.
We could do that and find out, because it used to be back in the old days when I go out there, you could go to some of those buffets and eat prime rib for $5, but now those days are gone, right?
I don't eat enough either for buffets to ever work out for me. So I was there once and everybody kept wanting to go to buffets. And I'm like, I can't eat any more shrimp. At some point, I can't eat $40 worth of food. And
I know.
I
know. And I'm sure most of you are like me. As you go to a buffet and you think, okay, well, let's start with the salad. The hell with a salad. That's a waste of calories. I'm going right to the steak.
No, that's like going to one of those Brazilian steakhouses. The salad is decoration.
Yeah.
It's like the chicken guy. Chicken guy, I don't want you either. I didn't come here to eat chicken.
It's like eating 1,000 peanuts in Texas Roadhouse lobby, not happening. It's just not happening.
Exactly. But, I think there's a lot of conversation there about food.
Yeah, I think so. We could do that.
I'm here for that.
So what I've seen in the past, I've seen a lot over the past weeks and months, is a lot of negativity about this race, about the track, about the construction, the amenities, the prices, the union threat of strikes, the inconvenience, and much, much, much more. I've seen negativity and posts and content generated on crap that, quite honestly, is not even really an issue, but it's been made into some massive issue. And I get it. Something new comes along and it's immediately faced with lots of I would say fair and unfair criticism. It's human nature, especially if you're a person impacted like the workers in Vegas or something like that you're impacted personally. Yeah, this, it becomes personal and there's an issue. But they're like local workers. I read the other day that traffic's going to be so snarled it's going to take them. These workers estimate 4 to 5 hour commute to get to their job and those kind of things, right? So this is all conjecture, right? I'm not saying it won't, but I'm saying we don't know, right?
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
This episode is made possible by PwC. When unprecedented times are all the time, it's time to start walking the talk. Leaders like you turn to PwC to see and stay ahead. Upskill your workforce, use intelligent automation, and transform big ideas into breakthrough outcomes. Explore the human-led, tech-powered solutions that help you thrive. It's all part of The New Equation. Learn more at thenewequation.com.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was thinking too that it's also because maybe this is also a problem in Azerbaijan and we just don't know because we don't live there. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, so the hotel workers strike in Vegas got covered on our news because we live in the United States and it's a big deal. Whereas if we lived in Brazil, maybe it's not on their news because they live in Brazil. They don't live in the United States. So maybe some of this is also because we have this quicker access to it because it's here.
Yep.
As opposed to if it was in Australia. I don't know. Maybe they have the same complaints. I almost said Phillip Island. That's MotoGP. But, they may have the same complaints in Australia or someplace like that, and we just don't know about it.
Well, that's a well-oiled machine by now. But, yes, I think...
But, but even a new track, right? Like, if you think,
Saudi.
The first time... Fine. Yes. Maybe that was also an issue, right?
Yeah.
But we just don't know because it's not covered on my news.
Well, and it could be, although, I'll get to that point, and it's a good point, and I'll get to that.
All right.
Because I do think, so I've saw loads of like new social media channels with, they've got these huge, they become huge F1 stars on social media, on TikTok and all this stuff. And they're in all these new YouTube channels and more, all of the content, a lot of hand wringing and teeth gnashing and otherwise, meanwhile there's this is crazy, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, then the next post is they're, bloviating about how excited they are to get invited by Mercedes to go to the race or something like that. And so they're going to go and cover it, which is great. But I've seen all of this stuff that I've been ingesting and reading and trying to figure out, I'm not trying to be grumpy old man. I'm trying to just use common sense here, right?
Well, I think...
Go ahead.
I think that there's you kind of have to separate the wheat from the chaff, if you will, right? Like, and find out where the actual points are, as opposed to just people making hot takes to get more hits or get more people to read their articles.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I would say manufactured issues. We've been. So here's the upside. I know that we've been there before. F1 was ever popular like it is now, right? It's always been popular, but in the States. We've been guests in the Paddock Club with Ferrari, been guests of Shell's numerous times. I had a hard card in the media pass in the media center. I actually had to call Bernie Ecclestone to get that sorted, and that's no easy task, mind you, back in the day. And this is before they were handing out, paddock passes like candy. So this was very locked down and very tight. And the great thing is, Liberty took over that. The good news is I know that a lot of these content creators will have a great time. They're going to have a lot of fun. I know that it'll be exciting for them. There'll be a lot of fun content that comes out of it, given the level of access that they have. So I'm real happy for them. And I'm excited that Liberty is inviting a lot of these new content creators to the race to really kind of take advantage of the social media footprint. And that's all good. I got no issue with that. But I actually think it will be even better content than even what we were able to create, to be honest with you, back in 2005 through, call it 2014, when we were going to races, because really, we had all that access, but the interweb was quite a different place back then. And we did the best we could, right, with, the social media and stuff like that, and our podcast.
My cups and stream, yes. We did the best we could.
We were doing podcasts by semaphore,
Exactly.
So we did the best we could, but now it's even better. And so I think they're going to have really good content, and I'm excited to see what they produce. But what I do think, I see a trend, to your point, Grace, and this isn't just necessarily F1 these days, but in the mad dash to create content, I see a lot of manufactured issues and stories and controversy that quite honestly seem to exist for the sake of creating content. Like you said, mad takes or hot takes for clicks and those kind of things. And we haven't published any of these doom stories or fair warning stories about the race because many years ago we learned a valuable lesson. You actually have to let the race actually happen before you start throwing stones at it.
Well, I agree with that, but I also think that we can't be Pollyanna about it either.
Yep.
Like, I'll take the fact that it's going to be cold, right? So that's gotten a lot of press that it's not going to be warm enough, most likely. And so, yes, there's all the oh no. But you got to kind of cut through that and not just not pay attention to that problem at all because people are all in a tizzy about it. There is a real concern about the fact that it's unknown track, unknown tarmac. The tires aren't going to be warm enough. Like, these are concerns that for sure Pirelli and the teams have, even though there's a lot of arm waving and whatever on social media about it. So I think you got to kind of like cut through all the like hot take bloviate. Like, it's Stephen A. Smith, right? We got to cut through the Stephen A. Smith part of this to actually talk about the facts of what could be a problem.
Yeah.
I just don't want to like, we don't ignore it just because everybody's Stephen A. Smith hot taking it all over the place and it's out of line.
Well, I've seen like 50 stories on cold weather. And on the podcast I did with Jeff Does Vegas, he was laughing. He said, there's going to be a lot of people coming out and saying, oh, it's Vegas in the desert. And you come out there in shorts at night. And they're going to find out real quick.
I don't think people understand how the desert works.
Yeah, it gets cold.
First of all, it gets cold at night. And I think the other thing is I think to me, what is more astounding. So I've always joked that, if you go to a racetrack, races are made at temperatures that make the cars work, that make the tires warm, not at temperatures that are comfortable for the human beings watching the race. So if you go to a race and you are at a comfortable temperature, this race is not going to be great, right? Because we need it to be hot because that's what makes the tires work well. And so I think that it becomes problematic for people in that sense that it isn't going to, I just don't see how it's going to be warm enough for them. And it is the desert. And there's this thing, it's called a phone. And I can look at a weather app, and that weather app will go back in time by years. And I can look at what the temperature was this weekend 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think that's the part that is weird, that nobody thought to check what the weather was going to be.
Well, they did. I mean, I guess this is what I was kind of leading to. All these stories, and there's a lot of hand-wringing. Oh, my gosh, these tires are going to come out of hot blankets. And people saying, these drivers' lives are at risk. And okay, wait a minute, time out. So Formula One went out and spent $500 million to host a race in Las Vegas in November at night and never bothered to look at the weather. Of course they did. And the teams... Well,
then where is Dominicali saying, I hear everybody what you're saying, but here's what we actually did, and here's actually the problem. There is nothing...
Of course they would have thought about that. They know the temperatures, because races are set in the calendar based on the local weather and likelihood of torrential, spring storms or wherever it might be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're going to work around
don't
that.
have it in India during typhoon season. Right.
And the second thing about cold weather is... this isn't the first time that Formula One cars have run in anger in cooler temps. All the testing for all those years in Spain in the early spring, late winter, sometimes there was snow out there. So they know what a car does when the tires are cold. And the other thing is, these cars aren't like an electric toothbrush. You just turn them on at maximum speed or turn them off. These drivers, if it's cold and they lack grip, they're going to drive slower. That's just the reality of it.
Right, but that's not what they aim for when they schedule a race. They don't aim for 50-degree weather. They aim for 90-degree weather.
Well, but do they? Because why would they have chosen November in Las Vegas at night?
That is the question that we're all asking here now, isn't it? Right? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me either.
It is, but I'm sorry, I just have a hard time believing that Formula One's got a lot of smart people in it, and so does the FIA, and there's a lot of smart people at the teams. They know this. They know the average temperatures in the evenings in November in Vegas, and they would have thought about it. It makes great social content, hand-wringing and teeth gnashing, but the reality of it is it's going to be fine. It may be lack of grip levels, which may not lead to fantastic racing. We'll have to see, Well,
I think there's a difference between, oh my God, it's going to be a disaster, and it's not optimal, or, you know what I mean? Like, I think that I agree with you that I fail to believe that the gazillion people that work for the FIA, nobody thought to check the weather, right? That crossed nobody's mind. That doesn't make sense to me either. But I also know that they never plan races when it's this cold. So something here doesn't add up.
Yeah,
and it doesn't mean that they're all going to crash into the wall and, oh my God. Like,
yeah.
I just don't think that There's something in between here between, oh my God, we're all going to die, and they thought of this, and they're okay with the fact that it's going to be 50 degrees at race time.
Right.
I don't think that's true either.
So you've had times in Belgium when it's that cold, when it's in, maybe not 50.
But they don't
60.
plan it to be that
they
cold.
Don't. But the race still happens. And
right. And the race will still happen in Vegas. But the problem is that they planned it to be 50 degrees.
Right. So in that case...
Not accidentally 50 degrees.
Right. So surely they've given some thought about that before they ever did that, and made it a night race. If they had made it a day race, temperatures would be quite a bit different in a desert, right?
Yeah, and it would look ugly.
Yeah, it would.
You've been to Vegas in the daytime. Nobody wants that.
Vegas looks great at night.
That's right. We saw just at night.
We saw some of this, though. This is pretty typical when a new circuit comes in. There's a lot of reservations, and all of that is typical. We saw this with Austin. You remember this with Austin? The fight, first of all, the whole fight over the ownership of the race and the track with Tavo and Bobby Epstein and all that. We saw all that, as well as the state funds that were used. Remember the major event trust fund that was used to pay for it? And oh my gosh, this is outrageous. We saw more of this with Miami, the fake boats and the fake marina and all this stuff. Vegas hasn't happened yet, and the outrage, angst, malcontent offerings are through the roof on this race.
Right, but I guess I just don't want to blow off every point because of that.
I don't know that there really is a lot of points. Construction happens. Traffic gets, snarled. Look at Monaco. They have to shut the city down. That happens. Grandstands get built. There's a lot of disruption to the city for that brief moment of time. That happens. It happens in Baku. It happens in Saudi Arabia. It happens. And so I don't think that is an issue. If the cold tires are the one thing, I'm not losing my mind over cold tires. They'll adapt and overcome. I think what we may be.
I don't think you need to lose your mind over it to ask questions or to wonder or to build a podcast over these things.
You can ask questions about the cold tires, but they'll race with cold tires. Now, what you might be frustrated by is if there's a tremendous lack of grip on a dull circuit, which creates a really tedious or boring race, right? Now, then you can be like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, right? Because it was a boring race.
But isn't that the underlying issue? That's the concern.
Well, to you and I it is, but I think
that's all we're talking about. It's you and I on this pod here, man. It's just you and me.
A boring race on a very dull track on tires with no grip. Yeah, you and I, being anorex, we're like, oh, crap, But on the flip side of it, there's this whole other side of Vegas. And some people argue it's not even really about the race. It's about the spectacle, right? So
Formula One is always about the spectacle.
And all of the hype around this. So you've got all of these doomsdayers, all of these posts and social media and all that on doomsday. And then you've got all of these people that are sick and tired of the overhyped nature of it. Now, honestly, I don't have an issue with the overhype. That's just Vegas doing Vegas, right? That's just how they roll.
You can ride a gondola down a casino, people.
It's Vegas being Vegas.
It's Vegas.
That's just how they roll, right? And if you thought Miami did it over the top and big, it was never going to compare to Vegas.
Treasure Island literally has a pirate ship outside where they have a pirate show every night. Like, it's Vegas. This is like Miami. Hold my beer.
And that was next door to the Mirage with the volcano that ran all night and kept me up when I stayed there. It was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in Iceland.
That's You should put that on your resume. That was a pretty good volcano.
I know. I was there for a trade show. Didn't sleep any of the nights during the trade show. I was a zombie on the floor. It was terrible.
How was your night? How was your sleep last night, sir?
Yeah, it was terrible. I was about ready to check out and go down to the Flamingo or something. Or the Golden Nugget or something.
Flamingo's nice. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Crazy.
Yes. So I'm just saying, I think that's also some part of it too. Is that I guess that's the point that I was bringing up about Azerbaijan or Brazil or someplace like that. I know about Monaco, or not Monaco. I know about Montreal. I know about Vegas, right? Like there's tracks I know about. And so it's a very different perspective that I can bring to those tracks than, I don't know, Suzuka that I've never been to. Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm not a big fan of racing around parking lots next to a football stadium, but Miami is learning, right? With each race, they make adjustments.
I think so.
They make adjustments to the track. They make adjustments to the amenities. They make adjustments to different seating areas. They moved some of the paddock area inside the stadium. They're trying to expand on it. Look at things that didn't work so well, improve those for next year, maybe add different features. So every year they learn. And you look at Austin. Austin has radically changed. Although I will say Austin really did a fabulous job with, I know the parking was a nightmare, but the actual staff for the first race, which was outsourced to the Australian Grand Prix group, they did a fabulous job. They really did. But they've learned a lot over the years. In Austin.
Absolutely. And I think that's, you always want that. I think that's true in anything you work on, right? Like you always have, lessons learned, postmortems, whatever, right? You're always trying to improve upon whatever it is that you do with your life. So of course you would want, I would want that. And you're right. If Vegas continues to be on the calendar for the next 10 years, you would expect that each year they kind of figure things out. But I don't think that negates, people saying, hey, maybe this wasn't great.
Well,
maybe this thing needs to be tweaked.
I totally get that. If people look at it and say, no, I don't. When you look at a map of the track, it does not look like an exciting track, right?
Looks like a dead pig.
Upside down, yes. And I get it. And that may be what happens. It may be a pretty tedious track. It could be a boring race because it's a boring track, right? That's one possibility. The other possibility is maybe it's a sort of boring track because it's so damn cold. We don't have any grip, so we're sliding all over the place. And all of a sudden it's like, that's what we ought to do at every Grand Prix with our tires. Just make them slide all over the place, right?
Why don't we just put sprinklers everywhere?
And high degradation tires, great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah. So that could be what happens. We could be surprised. The track may, with these regulations, these cars, who knows? Maybe there'll be some really good passing. It could be good. But here's the upside. We change tracks. We reprofile tracks a lot in Formula One. So if there's something that's not working, I totally agree with you, Grace. Fans say, I don't know, that track just does not do it for me. This section is Mickey Mouse. I'd really wish they'd reprofile that. And because this is a street course, maybe they can. So they learn from that kind of stuff, right?
I mean, they're still making changes to Catalunya, and we've been at Catalunya like my entire life.
Yeah. They just did to Singapore,
or the A1 ring, right? Like
they just did again,
right? So I mean, of course, that is always a possibility, but to me, I think what would be, I mean, this is probably true with a lot of street courses, but I find that what would be most disappointing to me is that there's no support races. It literally is just the 5 Formula One events. Like, to me, there's some. I mean, and even I've never seen a Formula One. Is this true? Yeah, a Formula One race on a street course. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what Baku is like during the day. Maybe they only have the 5 Formula One events. I don't know, but certainly IndyCar, when they do street races, they still have support races, and I think that is also part of the fun. Is that you can go and see not just what you're there for. It's like seeing the opening acts, right, of a show. You're there to see, Todd and his great performance, but maybe Paul was his opening, and I've never seen Paul play before, and that was really great. I guess I should have done that the other way around, but just work with me here, people. And so that's how you learn new things, or you get into it, or I always like the support races because they're a lot less reserved, right? Formula One drivers, it's a marathon, but like you get the series a few steps down, or you get the just some people with a lot of money who race Ferraris, and it's great. It is, right? Like, because they don't have that same sort of this car has to make it kind of.
Remember we just go and see the Porsche Cup? Remember you see that? And it's a shame the Formula Academy isn't running here. That could have been good, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. So I think to me, I think that's a valid complaint that people should be waving their arms in the air over, because I think that's a real
well, that may be something,
a missed opportunity.
That could be something mandated by the city. Maybe.
I think so, because they have to open the street up. I think that's part of their deal.
Yeah, but it could be.
I can't imagine closing the strip.
No.
I mean, because that's the other thing too. Again, I don't know. I've never been to Baku. I don't know what their street infrastructure is like, but I've been to Vegas, and I can't imagine for 3 days nobody can drive out down the strip from the Cosmopolitan up to Treasure Island. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I can't see that happening.
Yeah, that would be different.
And that's unfortunate.
Now, one of the complaints I do think is legit is I know the amenities and prices are a fortune, right? And I think...
what are they saying? General admission is like $500?
It's a fortune.
Nuts.
It's more than that. Yeah, it's more than that.
That's nuts. For general admission, that's nuts.
Yeah. I can't remember.
I can't believe
it was like a couple $1,000s. I don't remember just to go under a GA
I'm
ticket.
just like...
I think it was $800 or $1,000, something like that.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
I can't...
But again... Time will start to balance that out when the U.S. has 3 races to choose from.
Right, it's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, the first one is always going to be the most expensive. There's so much hype around it, right? That'll die off with each round after that.
There's 3 races now. Even Austin this year was offering some pretty enticing deals, far below the Vegas and Miami pricing, for sure. And we'll see, if Miami starts to balance out Vegas over time. As interest wanes, then those prices will come down over time. But, and, there again, also, bear in mind that it is a spectacle, and they're betting on more so than, they're basically betting on the spectacle, I think, more so than this super cool circuit, right? And the idea of 20 F1 cars racing down the strip is, to be sure, an absolute spectacle. And, let's be honest, they're charging a lot for that spectacle in the first year. Will it be a novelty or a destination race? Only time will tell whether that is. But, they got to start somewhere.
But I think the thing not to be lost in this is that this is FIA's test case, right? They're promoting it. That's not traditionally, that is certainly not what Bernie did, right? You found a third party, like Austin, right? You found a third party, or you found some government.
Yeah, this is their baby.
To fund it. Right. And so I think that's part of it too. And this is for sure shots fired across Monaco. You think you're fancy with your James Bond casinos? Guess what we got over casinos here? So I think that in the hot take, oh my God, the tires, that's the point that's really getting buried and missed by people, is that what the FIA has to gain or lose from Vegas being a success or not. Because they would for sure love to get rid of Monaco, because I'm sure Monaco is just a pain in the FIA's butt.
Yeah, it could be.
They'd be more than happy to be done with it.
My advice, and I've seen many races come and go, is to give it time. And I say this because the race is hosted by F1, as you just mentioned. It's not an independent promoter, so they have a huge incentive to try and make it work, as the risk is all on them, right? Imagine the increase in just their liability insurance coverage for this. It would be galactic in proportion, right? And, if it turns out to be sort of an average F1 race, well, remember, average F1 is better than no F1. And they'll tweak it. Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is that we won't have to listen to everybody belly aching about track limits, because there's
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There are very few places where we will have to worry about track limits.
That would be good. Yeah.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
In in sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good trade-off necessarily,
Right.
but it is a trade-off.
Right. So the other thing is I was reading this, and I must have missed this in a press release or something early on, but I was reading sort of an expanded explanation, and I've got some quotes for you that I'll read, that they're not just racing around the sphere, but they're actually using the sphere. So if
Right.
a lot of you out there, if you're music fans or if you've been watching the news, you know that U2, the band, has been playing a series of very highly acclaimed shows at the Sphere in Vegas. And from the video I've seen, it's very cool. It seems to be a really cool show. But it seems that U2 has had to pump the brakes a little here on their final show due to the race. So they've got to postpone their final show until later in November because the race is there. The Sphere, which was a $2 billion orb of LED, will be used to show F1 content during the race weekend. And Liberty had to do a deal with the Sphere owners. So that had to cost a lot of money to get U2 to take a back seat, right? And stay home for that.
Hey, Bono, why don't we'll give you we'll give you some beverages, and you and the Edge, you can just watch from our box and hang out with Stefano, and it'll be a good time. We just need to borrow the Sphere for a weekend.
And here's a little gift bag for you, Bono. Inside's a Valtteri Bottas bucket hat. Enjoy. That would be nice.
Oh, that would be
Wouldn't
so
it,
cute.
though? Bono with a Bottas bucket hat. I like it.
That would be cute. I'd be there with the glasses. That'd be cute. I'm here.
So it's so they had to do a deal, and they had to pay a lot of money so they could show great big pictures of Lewis and Toto on the Sphere. Right? That would be cool. That would be fun on the outside.
I mean, they don't have a Ferris wheel. I mean, every track now I feel like has a Ferris wheel, so they have to have something.
Yeah, it does. I saw a tweet by I can't remember who it was by now. It wasn't Formula One, I don't think. I can't remember, but it was asking, hey, what do you guys think they should put on the Sphere? Right? And everybody had lots of great responses. And some people went to the length of actually going into Final Cut Pro and putting video on the Sphere. And it was great. It was I just put a picture of the Martini billboard that they had in Monaco, which distracted the drivers so much that they had to take it down for the race. So I said, just put that big Martini with the very attractive woman and put that on the Sphere. So when they're driving around, they see this huge Martini racing image that distracted them in Monaco. That would be good.
You know what they need to do? Anybody who's ever been at a race, and this is true, I think, in every form of racing I've ever been to that runs ads, like when the races aren't happening, it's like this, it's the same thing that happens on the broadcast, right? It's the same one ad over and over and over again. So last time we were at Montreal a couple years ago, it was this, it was the Heineken, don't drink and drive, but Jackie Stewart. Over and over again. And I'm like, I hate Jackie Stewart. Like, we're 10 minutes into this, half an hour break between racing events, and I hate that guy so much now, right? That's what they need to play on the Sphere.
Non-stop.
You need to get the same experience that we do at every other race, which is the same Mother's Polish commercial just running over and over and over again.
Yeah, I agree.
Get some sponsors,
But
people.
it's not...
That's what they should show on the
It's
Sphere.
not just the outside that they're using. They lease the inside as well. And that could be very cool if F1 had time to generate some awesome content in the appropriate resolution to make the most out of the internal LED as well. So that would be really, really cool too. See, this is like bridges. So So I work for a company. I was the director of LED sales and strategy for the Americas for this technology company that did LED. So we actually looked at this project. We were invited to come in and look at it, and we didn't get involved in it because we stopped making outdoor LED a long time ago. And we were interested in the indoor because the indoor starts to get to be a higher res, and there's a lot of inherent issues with curvature and color shift and in fast action from image tearing and smearing and those kind of things. So, and I can nerd out on LED if you guys want me to, but we looked at that, and it's a logistic and a service nightmare. So it'll be interesting to see how long that lasts. But for now, the inside looks good, and if F1 has generated content in the appropriate resolution, a 1-to-1 pixel would be super cool. I don't know.
Jackie Stewart's going to look great over and over and over again on the inside and the outside.
Yeah, wouldn't he? I mean, they may just show the race. I don't know. But
where's your imagination?
I don't know. I haven't read. But here's what Greg Popcorn Fart Maffei said about it, the head guy at Liberty. Here's what he said about, quote, "The race will be around the sphere, so we're utilizing their property. We will own all the advertising on the sphere for the duration of the race for a fixed fee. We have bundled that into some sponsorship deals and also sold advertising directly to parties during the race, which will defray part of our costs. It was a necessary cost for us because we need to be on their land. But in addition, it was a revenue opportunity for us to lease, as I said, or sublease the time on the sphere. In addition, we're going to have a recovery brunch, and you will need to recover on Sunday morning in the sphere, and we'll be showing highlights of the race internally." So there you go, end quote. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see on Sunday, you're going to see Greg walking around with a serious headache, drinking a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, me too. I just won't be in Vegas.
Right. So it's cool they're using the sphere, though. That's really cool. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Why not? Win in Vegas.
I mean, especially because they're not racing far enough up the strip to be by New York, which I think would have been the best one to race by, right? People on the roller coaster while you're racing, that would have been great.
They should go all the way up to Mandalay,
Right, do the whole strip, shut the whole thing down.
That would be good.
I mean, if you're going to make people mad, make them real mad.
You could probably stay away from the Rio. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. That's too far up the strip.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know.
I just think the roller coaster would be fun. That would be a fun thing in the sun.
Well, there's, that's just it. I mean, Vegas. Look, let's be honest. Vegas is a destination city. There's lots of great shopping there. There's casinos there. There's lots of clubs and music and shows, and there's a lot to do. Even you go down to downtown, the old town. They've put a fortune down there with the whole LED overhang.
Yeah. You can
and they've really spruced that whole thing up. So there's a lot to see down there too.
Zip line, that was what I was thinking of there, right? Yeah. Like that. I just realized people that can't see what I'm doing, you can zip line down through all the LEDs in old Vegas.
That would be good. That's what I think Will Buxton should do. He should zip line down Old Town. That would be good for Will, I think. That would be. Hey, Grace, did I show you what I got? Got this in the mail for those of you listening and not watching. It's you see who that's by? You see the author there? No?
I have to wait for your video to catch up.
Oh, sorry. I'm lagging. So it's a book.
I just assumed you were going to describe it, and then I'd be like, "Wow, that's great!" And then your video will catch up, and I'll go, "Wow, that's great!" Again. I'm going to
describe it for our podcast. So it's the latest book from Steve Matchett. It's a short book.
Oh, that's great!
It's called A Day at the Races: A Tale of Love and Kindness, Cheese Nibbles, and Grand Prix Motor Racing. So I'm very excited. Love Steve. He's a great friend, and so if you guys are looking for just a quick read and you love motorsport, I highly recommend it. I would read I would read, as I tweeted, I would read a CVS formatted data dump if Steve Matchett wrote it. I'd read the phone book if he wrote it.
For sure.
His prose is
Me too.
awesome. So highly recommend that.
Absolutely.
All right. In other news, so this was an interesting sort of thing. So we had the U.S. Grand Prix in Austin, right? And Haas, 2 weeks later, lodged a complaint about track limit offenses being missed during the USGP in Austin. And while it was 2 weeks later, the Austin Grand Prix stewards were reconvened over a video call, and they reviewed this evidence that the team presented. And as it turns out, they overruled the request to penalize cars they say were breaking track limits, which would have moved Haas into the points, right? So that was adjudicated by the stewards, and they got on there, and it was like, it was kind of one of those deals. According to Sky Sports F1, the evidence was reviewed with the stewards saying that the new evidence did not constitute a, quote, are you ready? Significant and relevant new element, end quote. But
you burnt. You brought nothing.
Yeah, but stewards strongly call for improved methods to enforce track limit rules. How about that?
That was a bone. That was such a bone to Haas. Like, you burnt. You brought nothing. You brought no new evidence, and you wanted us to review this. Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Nice try.
In particular, they were looking at Alex Albon's car footage, and then the cars trailing him, their footage, and said that while they were looking at Alex's car footage, they said that others had followed him as well, and they said that there may have been some possible breaches, but principal video evidence from a fixed CCTV camera of adequate resolution positioned to clearly see a car's position in relation to the track limit boundary. That's what they're looking for. The CCTV camera for turn 6 did not meet the standard, as it did not cover the apex of the corner because onboard cars and I'm sorry, let me try this in English. It didn't meet the standard. Where did I leave off? Oh, because onboard cameras are only useful for verifying a breach when viewing a car in front of the car and not the camera car itself. The stewards believed they could not accurately and consistently conclude whether a breach occurred for every car on every lap. Anecdotal usage of trailing car video, which may or may not be available for any given car's potential breach at any given time, does not meet the accurate and consistent evidence standard. Did you get all that?
Yeah, you burnt. They spent a lot of time telling them, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here with this weak sauce,
so
buddy.
You're showing us the onboards.
Call Gene, get out of my office.
So the onboards from other cars and trailing cars and all that cars. And then ultimately it boils down to, it's kind of like, we don't agree.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't agree with you. I don't. Oh, nice. You had that effect happening. And see, mine doesn't do that. It's just you.
Yeah, it's only.
Give us a thumbs up.
It's because it's my phone is my camera.
Your camera. That's right. Yeah.
So 1 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Just gives you a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Gives you fireworks.
Nice. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Everybody listening to the podcast like, what the hell is going on, man? Yeah.
So after the last podcast when I was on, when I accidentally made the balloons happen, I then had to go look up what actually the reactions are.
Yeah.
So
that's hilarious.
It's great.
So anyway, so that's what Haas is doing, and they were like, well, wait a minute, we got this, are you not listening?
Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
Yes, they were listening, and they ruled against him. Yes. The bottom line is the stewards said the current system in place makes it impossible to steward the track limits at turn 6 at COTA, and they strongly urge the FIA and circuit owners to remedy this for 2024. Oh boy, track limits. Look,
try again next time.
Folks, okay, this is Old Man Get Off the Lawn. This all culminated in Austria with, 1,200 plus track limit violations, and everybody was apoplectic, and everybody was just losing their collective mind, and it became this albatross around the neck of F1, with fans seemingly more intent on penalizing and meting out penalties and punishing people and equalizing F1 than they are actually watching F1. Right? This became like a witch hunt of track limits. Track limits. Oh my gosh, people, you tuned in so you could watch a tire go this far over a track limit. You're really, it's so sad to me because this is what we're reduced to. You will never see another René Arnoux, Gilles Villeneuve battle in Formula One because of this.
You know what? You know what the solution is?
Walls.
Oh. Have all your races at Vegas. There are no track limits. There's a
wall.
Walls.
Have 22 races at Vegas.
Problem solved.
There you go. That's the problem. I know, it's crazy. What are you going to do?
Oh, I was just, when I heard that, I was just like,
I mean,
Gunther.
We got all wrapped around the axle on track limits. That's all we're focused on every weekend of a race. It's either track limits or the damn tires, and that's all that we're talking about. Instead of, like the last race, and I'm sure you watched it, the last race.
I did.
Paul and I were talking about Fernando Alonso. Incredible run by Fernando, right? Fernando 08.
Alonso 08.
And we thought, obviously, Max did well, and we thought Lando did a fabulous job, too. We're talking about the racing.
Yes,
track limits. They were over track. Boy, I grow weary. Of the track limit conversation. It used to be Charlie Whiting knew which corners you'd actually gain an advantage of, and they just need to determine which corners that you seriously actually do get an advantage, a slight advantage, and just marshal it and let it go. This is just silly. It's the same for everybody. Yeah, it is the same for everybody, but this is all we're doing now. We watch a race so we can hand out penalties and accuse teams of cheating and berate the stewards that miss it, and this is just nihilistic as hell, and I hate it. Okay.
I wasn't sure how you felt about it, Todd. I'm glad
I want to clear
it.
That's why I said it was going to be old man get off my lawn time, and it just stop.
I think the thing is too is that it's often the way it's portrayed. Okay, so I'm jumping to the MotoGP part of this podcast early, but it was in Thailand, I believe, where Brad Binder on the last lap, right, crossed the line, right, and track limits, and it was just like, yeah, he was demoted a position because of that. That was it. End of story. There was no like, his tires went off, he got demoted, he does it all the time, it's about time, right? It just wasn't a big deal because nobody made it a big deal. And I think Formula One could also learn from the that's it. That's the rule.
And part of it...
And moving on. But they don't. They let it, grind.
And especially, with Sky Sports, Croft, he gets all animated when somebody's over the line. And then the replay crew starts showing the same damn replay, 2 or 3 times, showing them go over the lines. And it's like, here, FIA, look, here's a replay. We see them go over the line. They're going over the line. You know what? Get out of the business of being a tattletale on everybody. Correct. Let the FIA do their damn job. Sky Sports doesn't need to be the arbiter of to adjudicate the regulations. If they miss it, they miss it. If they get it, they get it. But it's, I just sit around and listen to Sky Sports team, teeth gnash over someone go over the lines is just tedious as hell. I'm sorry. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I think. I don't know. I'm not done. But anyway, I think there is a way that it could be handled. And I do think, we watch Sky, so of course that's what I see, but they do just grind on it. It's just let it go, man. And then it just is what gets carried. And so, I don't know. I just think I just remember in the beginning of the season when, Crofty was like, well, what are we going to call Zhou Guanyu? How do we know? And then Martin Brundle was like, well, he already told us. We just asked him. I get it that in Chinese culture, your surname and your first names, and it can be different and how, But he already told us. You just ask somebody, right? And so then it like stopped Crofty from grinding on what will we call Joe? Is that his first name or his last name? I don't know. I'm not Chinese. Like, it's okay. We understand. You don't understand. I don't understand either. But you just ask a person, and it's just like if I said to you, well, what do you want me to call you? If you had a longer, like if your name was actually Theodore, and I said, would you want to be Theodore or Todd? And you'd say, I prefer Todd, and then I'd call you Todd. It's not something we need to grind on.
No, it's not.
Just ask somebody. So like the stewards just made a decision, and we can talk about whether or not it's valid or not, or if there's issues with it, but I just think, it just gets grind on so much that it's just like, and then when it does matter, I think tires are the same thing, right? It's the boy who cried wolf so much that then when it really is important or really does matter or really is something we need to like be watching for, we're so exhausted by it, it doesn't matter anymore. The sky's falling and we don't care.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, is that these things are important sometimes.
I think it was Austin where we actually had an interesting tire dynamic that actually did play out and was interesting. But we're so numb to the tire talk that it just you gloss over.
Right.
Actually, this tire talk and this tire performance at this track was a critical element, and it was actually pretty cool. But you miss it all because, like you said, it's a boy who cried wolf, right? And it just
and
drives me nuts.
Nobody cares anymore.
All right.
Let's grind on it.
Let's do some Alvin's Cat, shall we? All right. Why not? That's what we do. Give me some Alvin's Cats.
So, first of all, speaking about grinding on things, I don't think I've ground on this before, but I'm going to do it now.
Sounds good.
I can't take watching 4 things in a weekend anymore. Sprint races being great, being interesting, I don't care. I don't have the bandwidth to watch 4 things from Formula One in a weekend. I have to live. I have other sports to watch. 4 things is too much because then I have to watch 4 pre-shows, 4 TED notebooks. 4 is too many things. They just need to have one qualifying like MotoGP does that sets the sprint and the race, and I only have 3 things to watch, which somehow, I don't know, seems much more tolerable than 4 things to watch. I'm so exhausted by the end of a sprint race because I feel like that's, and I think it's worse now because the last sprint races have been in our time zone. So it's like, not only do I have 4 things to watch, but I have 4 things to watch at 5 o'clock in the evening. That is prime, I'm doing things time. Like, I have time to watch 4 things in the middle of my day. Maybe I have time to watch 4 things when they're on at 7 in the morning.
True.
Maybe that's fine, but
true.
I cannot.
That's
more.
A great point.
No more 4 things in my time zone. I'm done with it.
It's
too much.
Great point.
So I just wanted to put that out there that, again, I think I would argue that maybe Vegas doesn't have enough coverage of anything, but 4 things is too much. So find some happy medium in here, people.
Right.
That would be fine. And especially because I also find sprint races, unlike a MotoGP, where I'm not necessarily pro sprint races, but it's really made a difference in this season's battle in MotoGP in a way that it hasn't in Formula One. Formula One, it's still just Max Verstappen dominating, and it is a difference between the sports, as we've talked before. But, I don't know. I'm sprint races. I've never really been in on them, but it's too much. I can't. I need to live, people.
It's true.
So that's how I feel about that. In case anybody wanted to know what I wanted to grind on about this in this podcast, there it is. Now, soon we're going to be in the winter doldrums, just waiting for a skiing event at Ferrari in order to get us through to the beginning of testing and the season, right? So that's right around the corner. 2 more races. So I wanted to give you, a couple podcasts ago, we talked about that drummer who was amazing, right? Great stuff. Now I want to tell you, this is something else you should be watching, which is, and it's Red Bull related. But so Red Bull sponsors this freestyle dancing, and it's called Dance Your Style. Just put that into YouTube right now. Amazing. I have no idea. And it's freestyle, so it's not choreographed. They don't know what music's going to happen. They're just doing this. And if you just want a specific person, just look up Waxy. She's amazing. Amazing. So in your free time or when you're just like, man, I wish I had some Red Bull content to watch. You thought them flying airplanes was crazy. This is what you need to be watching. These people dancing. It's nuts.
That's cool. I've checked it out. I haven't seen it.
So, yeah, dance your style. It's crazy.
Cool.
Mind blowing. I'm never going to dance. I mean, my dancing looks like Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld. Right. So I'm certainly never dancing at a wedding again, right? Like, but I'm just like living on this planet. They're dancing.
My dancing days are over.
I don't know. Yeah, the body control, I'm amazed. It's amazing. Yeah. So anyway, the isolation, they're great. So check that out. I did also want to give a little more MotoGP. So in case you're wondering, there's 2 more races left. We still don't know who's going to win either if the championship, if it's going to be Bagnaia or Jorge Martin. And we also don't know who's going to be worse. Is it going to be Yamaha or is it going to be Honda? Right. So you have a great battle to watch at either ends. Is it the race to win the world championship or the worst of the manufacturers? You decide. Who will it be? I just thought, they were talking about that on the Races podcast, and I just thought that was I agree. That's a very funny conversation to be having. Like, who of these past world championships, Marc Marquez or Fabio Quartararo, is going to be worse? Right. That's never a conversation I thought I was going to be having, especially not this year.
Yeah, but, that's brutal.
I don't know. It is. But so, and I also think that, spoiler alert, Bastianini won the race in Sepang. It was an alright race. It was interesting in the beginning, but then kind of, leveled out. But he's currently Bagnaia's teammate, and so they've been talking about, like, if Jorge Martin wins, right, are they going to move him up to original recipe Ducati and get rid of Bastianini? Apparently he heard these rumors and was like, I don't think so. I'm winning this. So I always think that makes it more interesting. Give Ducati a little more to, like, what are they going to do? I don't know. It's kind of like Formula One. It's the politics of it. Like, there's the racing, and that's interesting. But it's also the kind of like, well, what is Red Bull going to do? Are they going to bring up Danny Ricciardo? Right. Are they going to get rid of Checo? Who knows, right? That kind of like political intrigue, also very interesting. So, same thing happening in MotoGP. Very good. And also, just wanted to give a little shout out to Charles Leclerc. Was spotted at the Lakers game a couple nights ago, and he's hanging out with John Legend. So when that duo drops, I'm here for that. That's pretty great. And I just wanted to remind everybody, with Rui Hashimura now playing for the Lakers, that a win for the Lakers is a win for the Wizards, and that may be the only way we get any wins this season. So I'm here for that.
Did you see the Max Verstappen naming all the NBA teams? He did really good.
No, didn't I see? I saw one. Didn't he do football? And he couldn't figure out like all the bird icons.
Yeah,
like I think he stumped by the Eagles.
He did really well. Yeah,
okay,
you have to see that.
All right, I'll have to look. Maybe.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I watched the football one. It was just really, really funny because, like, it's our sport. So like you see, it's just inundated. Even if I don't think you watch football, you have some sense because you live in this country, right? And it's on all the time. And so, but some of the things that he would say, I'm like, oh, I guess it is what that logo looks like. I'm like, that's a good guess, right? I would have never come up with that because I know that is actually a jaguar with a blue tongue. I don't know. Why do you question that?
I don't know.
It's fine. I think it's teal, actually, but whatever. It's normal.
Whatever.
Totally fine.
All right.
I'll look out for that. I do love some Max content.
It's fun. All right. You ready for no shit headlines? All right. First one is.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
Formula One owners have made $500 million Drive to Survive gamble on Las Vegas Grand Prix, but it could be a huge flop. Dun, dun, dun. That's the kind of stuff I'm reading.
So basically, like, this podcast could be great and get a 5-star rating, or terrible and get a 1-star rating.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Which will it be?
Which will it be? I have no idea.
Although if you give us a 1 star, why are you listening this far into the podcast? You should have stopped a long time ago. It would have been fine. We would have known.
Yeah, it's
break off. That's okay. You don't have to keep listening.
Let's see. This one is, quote, my girlfriend dumped me because I bought a Porsche when I retired. Now I'm a millionaire and married to a Spice Girl.
Yeah, Christian Horner. That's a weird.
Quite sure. I didn't read the article, but I'd be very surprised if those were his actual quotes. It seems to me to paraphrase. I could be wrong. Maybe that's what he said. Seems to be a little paraphrasing there, but I don't know.
I'm going to put this out here that I don't think that buying the Porsche was the only reason she broke up with you. You know what I mean? This is like, oh, seed oil is going to kill you. It's not the seed oil that's killing you. It's all the crap you're frying in the seed oil that's killing you, and the Twinkies you're eating, and the Doritos you're eating. That also seems to accompany your crappy seed oil lifestyle.
That's right.
Maybe that's what's killing you.
And what do you got against seed oil
Maybe
anyway?
you were a jerk. Nothing. Seed oil's fine. I'm just saying that
I use olive oil, Grace.
It's just like one of... I do too. That's fine. I'm just saying that it's like people think coffee is bad for you, but it's because the science used to be done with people who drank coffee tend to also be heavy smokers. And so it was the smoking that was killing you, not the coffee.
See,
and
you
so,
got correlation
as long as you're not
going
smoking,
here,
you're fine.
Grace.
Well, I'm just saying that,
It's a multivariate equation, a correlation you got going.
Maybe Christian Horner, you're a jerk face, and your now wife also a bit of a jerk face, so you two are good together.
In fairness, maybe he's not. Maybe he's a delightful guy, and his old girlfriend is just a gold digger.
Well, I mean,
and
that's
she
possible
thought he's
too.
retired,
I'm just saying.
and he bought a Porsche, and now he didn't have any money left. I'm out of here.
Maybe he didn't buy her also a Porsche, because that for sure. If Flip bought a Porsche and didn't buy me a Porsche, we're going to divorce court.
You're on to something.
Like that. That's a non-starter.
Yep, you're on to something there. I think. Yeah.
He knows who he married.
A Spice Girl.
Mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you buy one for yourself, you better be buying one for somebody else.
I bet he's bought his Spice Girl a few. And then,
well, she could buy her own.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, she's a sharp gal, and business person. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Grace, I watched the Milli Vanilli documentary. Have you seen it?
There's a Milli Vanilli documentary?
Yeah. Sad. I feel bad for Rob. You know, he died.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's like, I was like in high school, so that's like mid-90s?
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
Do people even know who Milli... I mean, I get it that people our age know who Milli Vanilli is, but like, what 20-year-old is watching a documentary on Milli Vanilli?
I don't know. I watched it. I got sucked into it. Somebody told me it was good. I watched it.
We're old.
Yeah, it's sad.
That's
Very sad.
And it was good? You thought it was good?
Actually it was. It just, there's culpability on everyone's part, but apart from that, and all the people getting sucked in and believing it, and all the lies, and it was a machine that the producer did. He did it with Boney M too, but it was all that being said. Legit criticism, all that stuff. It's a shame because it cost a life, and that was a shame.
Yeah,
it was a real
absolutely.
Shame. I hate to see that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, neither here nor there. Finally, quote: "As great as Verstappen is," says Barton Crockett, senior research analyst for Rosenblatt Securities, who covers Liberty Media, F1's U.S.-based parent company.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "As great as Verstappen is right now, he looks like the biggest risk to the business." Now, this story's ran everywhere, and I'm thinking, who is Barton Crockett, and what an incredibly
it's a good name.
Barton Crockett. I'm Barton Crockett. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sorry, guy. You couldn't be more wrong. And if you're alluding to domination and blah 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 blah, I don't agree. We're gonna agree to disagree.
Does he have a partner with the last name Hobbs? Because that would be awesome.
Wouldn't it? Get a little, I can feel it coming in a Ferrari Daytona. Isn't that what they do? Daytona,
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
See? I think that the kids
I
are
would
into.
play the Miami Vice sound, but
I
I get a copyright strike against me. I can't do that.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, because now Blame It on the Rain is stuck in my head, and especially because when I was in high school, I had a good friend named
I was just going to say.
I had a friend named.
At the very end of that documentary, you have to watch because Fab goes out and sings that song. He's got a great voice. It's amazing. Yeah, Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I had a friend named Lorraine in high school, so then it was always Blame It on Lorraine.
Blame It on Lorraine. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. She did not enjoy that, but yes, it was very catchy and kind of stuck.
Like so anyway, all right, let's do some mailbag.
You've got mail.
Okay, I don't know if it's Jen or Yen. I'm not sure. It could be either, and I apologize. You'll have to let me know. I don't want to be wrong, so I'm going to cover both bases here. It's the newbie, so Yen or Jen and the newbie. It says, "Hi, Paul, Grace, and Todd. I wish I'd asked this question much earlier because it's been bugging me all season. Why has nobody mentioned the fact that Adrian Newey did his master's thesis on ground effect, and perhaps this has contributed to Red Bull being so far ahead of other teams in their understanding of this set of regulations? Yes, Newey did his thesis on sport cars, but if I'm understanding his book right, and I may not be because I'm very new to the sport and my wheel knowledge is very much in its infancy, he's been thinking about these concepts for many years, and I'm baffled as to why people keep scratching their heads over why Red Bull's leading the pack from the word go. Or maybe this isn't really a thing. I think you may be the only ones who can help me stop yelling at my TV about this. Love the podcast and never miss an episode." Well, thank you very much for listening. I think it's a great question.
It seems like a tall order, though, to keep somebody from stop yelling at your television. I do that all the time, so I don't know if I can help with that.
Look, it's a great question. So if you're new to Formula One, you see Red Bull winning. Maybe you're in the tail end of Mercedes domination. Now you see Red Bull, comprehensively winning the last couple seasons. You're looking at this, and then the TV coverage mentions Adrian Newey designing and all that. And if you haven't really dug any deeper as a new fan, because there's so much to take in about Formula One, and that's just in current day, let alone the 50, 60, 70 years of history of Formula One you got to wade through, right? And so there is so much to try to dig into and sink your teeth into to get a better understanding of the sport. So if you're newer, you probably just haven't have time to do that, and that makes sense. So Adrian Newey, yes, you're absolutely right. Grace and I often say that Adrian Newey just literally sees air. I mean, he's that good. He is an absolute genius. Yes, his thesis, his study has always been an aero. He's been a difficult guy. I say difficult guy. There's been times where he's left teams. He gets bored. He finds a different challenge, and he leaves McLaren, Williams, whatever. And Red Bull, Christian Horner had to work pretty hard to keep him locked in because he wanted to leave a few years ago, design boats and stuff like that, just different challenge. And so he worked with Aston Martin on the Valkyrie, which Paul and Harder Racing is going to be racing next year at Le Mans. So you're absolutely right. He is a genius. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone, but it probably is because there's probably a lot of people out there that digest a lot of the drivers and what they're up to in social media, but haven't really gone down and looked at Andrew Shovlin. And let's do a deep dive on Andrew Shovlin and see what his history is. What about Alan Permain? Was just let go by Alpine. Alan Permain's been in that sport forever. Incredibly impressive guy. When you talk about Pat Simmons, still involved in Formula One, in the sporting group for Formula One, and his history. Gary Adams over at Autosport and his history. So there's so many people out there. You're right. And so that's probably why it's a little bit of a surprise to some people. They keep bringing up, why is Red Bull dominating? Well, because they got a genius designing the car. And it's not just Adrian, but he helms that. But there's some other really, really smart people at Red Bull and the Aero, and they all work with Adrian, and it's fantastic. I wrote a article many years ago, and I tried to find it today for you on our website, and for whatever reason I can't find it. I thought it was titled "The Man Who Beat Adrian Newey," and I did sort of a compare and contrast there have been people that beat Adrian at the aero game and at the car design game. Mercedes just did it for 8 seasons, but it was a post I did about a guy named Rory Byrne. And so, like you said, if you're newer to Formula One, you could do a little deep dive on Rory Byrne, who was the aerodynamic designer and car designer for Ferrari during their 5 years of domination with Michael Schumacher. And they went head-to-head with Adrian Newey and beat him, right? And so Rory's got a very different story and his progression up through versus Adrian and his going to university, and Rory was more organic in his rise. So it's a very interesting I need to try to find it, but on your own, if you go read about Rory Byrne, that's an interesting story too. So, but anyway, great question. Love it. Grace loves her some Adrian Newey. Doesn't work for her team anymore, but
of course.
Boy, she loved him when he was at McLaren.
And neither does Ron, so maybe he'll come back.
Yeah, right. You never know.
Nice, Ron.
Oh, wait a minute. Ron or Adrian? Not Ron.
No, maybe Adrian will come back because Ron is
there
gone.
You go. Right.
That's
All right. Well,
Ron, he had conflict with people. It was his thing.
His thing. He's a bear for detail, man. That Ron. So, all right. Well, that does it for this show. What?
Wait. Could you imagine Ron Dennis and Gunther Steiner having that conversation about the crap that Haas tried to pull? That would have been great.
Hilarious.
Ron, we need you. That's almost as good as I think all the unbox videos that they do with the drivers. I think they should have Seb playing at home. Because it's always these like knowledge questions, and I'm like, I still want Vettel's score because he was always really good at these things. So let's just zoom him in on a Zoom call and have him play from home, and we'll see that he still really knows these things, and these guys know nothing.
I've said it for many years now, and maybe it's just not his personality, but I'm telling you, I wish Ron Dennis would write an autobiography. I would buy that book.
Oh, I'd love that.
The stuff that guy has seen in Formula One would just blow your mind. The stories he could tell.
And please read your own audiobook, Ron Dennis.
That'd be awesome. I would read that book in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
And this is coming from
100%.
a Ferrari fan, and I would read it in a heartbeat. That guy has seen so much in Formula One. I would love to read that. Anyway, all right. Well, that does it for this podcast. That's what we think about the news. You let us know what you think about the news. You can do that by going to theparkforme.com and sharing your opinion. Just do it with decorum and civility. Also, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. We could not and would not do this podcast without you. So if you ever felt compelled to support a podcast because you like it, you can go to our website on the right-hand side, the left-hand side at the bottom. It says support us. You can pick whatever way you want to support us. You can do it as little as $1 a month, and it's a huge help, and we're very, very grateful for that help. I will try to get a new power supply for Paul's laptop. I'll try to afford one of those, apparently. Who knew?
It would take sponsorships.
It's going to take a title sponsor to get him a new power cord. So anyway.
Oh my gosh. No, but it would have to be like a old team because of how old his laptop would be, not a current team.
Well, it's
right?
one thing if you had a brand new laptop that had an all-day battery and so you felt confident about it, but he's got an old laptop. There's no way that battery is making an hour in a podcast. So anyway, so a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you like the podcast, go to your favorite podcast player, give us a good rating, give us some love over there. We'd appreciate it. For all of you that like to see visual, you can go to our YouTube channel. Just type in The Park for May. You'll find us, and we put all these podcasts on video. It's just talking heads. But if you like that, so you can see the hand gestures that Grace does with her fun mobile phone, you can see all those as well. So, all right. Until next week, when we come back to review the Las Vegas Grand Prix. This is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long, Grace.
See you in a couple weeks.
Man. Game over, man. Game over.
It's not what I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to drive a car fast, to drive on a certain circuit, to drive a certain type of car.
Don't forget that your skin is your largest organ, and the sun can be your skin's worst enemy. Dermatologist-recommended Neutrogena products offer the ultimate protection for your skin. From makeup remover wipes to Hydro Boost Water Gel Facial Moisturizer, BJ's has your entire lineup of Neutrogena skincare products. And now through December 3rd, save $4 on any Neutrogena product at BJ's. Love your skin back and save now through December 3rd, only at BJ's.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.